Hey guys, it's Will. It's Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, welcome to the channel. Thank you for finding us. Give us a sub and a thumbs up and all that fun stuff. It would be much appreciated. I'm out in the garden. It's the yellow wall. I don't know if I've ever filmed against the yellow wall before. So where I usually sit in the garden, the bench with the bamboo is like I'm sitting right opposite it right now. But I was getting like a ton of glare off my glasses for whatever reason based on where the sun is. So I didn't want to film over there because it was really distracting. So here I am against the yellow wall, and I hope you like the yellow wall. What are we here to talk about today? It's a movie review. Happy Halloween season. And I thought this would be a fun movie to review for the Halloween season. It's The Haunted Cop Shop Hell. Yeah, this came out in 1987. It was directed by Jeffrey Lau, who directed Mortuary Blues, which you know is a movie I absolutely love. And he directed Into the Dark, the Stephen Chow film, which a lot of people, I think, really, really love that. It's like kind of like a cult classic film. Like, it's not as popular, I think, as Stephen Chow's like biggest movies, but it's a movie that people really, really love. And then he co-wrote some Wong Kar-wai films, like As Tears Go By and Days of Being Wild. And guess what? Maybe he was returning the favor because Wong Kar-wai co-wrote this film. Yeah, baby. So, and then I have to give a shout out to Charles, who actually sent me this Blu-ray in that one of the huge boxes. He sent me about 90 movies. Yeah, seriously, that's not an exaggeration. So a huge shout out to Charles for sending this my way. This is the Panorama release, or the Fortune Star release. Is it Panorama? This is the Hong Kong Classic Movies line from Panorama. Yeah. So, and this is definitely an upscale. And I posted about that. I was watching it in my Facebook group, and some people were like, ooh, yeah, that one doesn't look great. It looked fine for me, honestly. It looked like an upscaled DVD. Like, it looked like the DVD was decent, and they upscaled it to HD, and it's not true HD, and you can definitely tell. It doesn't look like some of these amazing remasters do of these incredible films, but it was fine for me. I watched it, and it looked just fine. So, I'm just going to kind of give you my brief review of this. I thought it would be, I'm trying to do like some kind of spooky stuff around Halloween and talk about like some Hong Kong horror. So this is a horror comedy. And it stars Jackie Chung and Ricky Hui of the Hui brothers, who you can both see right here on the cover. So there's Jackie Chung and there's Ricky Hui. And then Kitty Chan is in this movie, and Fat Chung, you know, who's in like a ton of stuff. He's got the big mustache. You'll recognize him like right away. Rico Chu, Feng Wu, and a bunch of others. And so, to me, this movie is very successful as like a horror film. To give you a basic idea of the plot, these cops are like, they work in a station where there's a rumor that the station was a clubhouse for the Japanese during World War II, and that when the Japanese lost the war, they all committed seppuku, and their ghosts are like haunting the police station. And then there's this kind of setup where like the ultimate powerful ghost, who I think is the colonel, the Japanese colonel. He was like he was the head of the Japanese soldiers position there. He somehow is able to, there's like a ghost festival happening, I think, or like a festival of the dead or something like that. And he's somehow able to break back into the human world as a result of this. So that's kind of the setup of the film. And like I said, the horror elements I thought worked really well in this movie. Like the words ghost and vampire seem to be used interchangeably in this movie. The bad guy is definitely a vampire. Like, he's got fangs and he wears a giant like Dracula cloak, and like he sleeps in a coffin and he can't go out during the day. It's like all vampire shit, right? But he's frequently referred to as a ghost, but they also call him a vampire. So I don't know the Cantonese and whether or not like those words are similar or interchangeable, or what the mythology of it is, but it's like a kind of a Western style vampire movie where it's like very much like a Dracula type of thing. And so the Jackie Chung and Ricky Hui play these cops who are kind of like losers. And then their boss is played by Kitty Chan. She's like the madam. And the three of them kind of end up in this battle against this vampire ghost type of character. So the spooky elements, like I said, they're handled really well. There's some like good violence in this movie. There's like some pretty bloody scenes. And the other thing that this movie does really, really well is it does some really great fake outs where it sets you up to think that a scene is supernatural, and then you realize it's not. Someone's playing a prank. But then in the next scene, you're like, well, wait, is anything supernatural happening, or is this all just pranks? And because it sets you, there's like 2 or 3 scenes where it sets you up to think it's one thing, but it's really something else. And then it keeps you guessing the whole movie. It's a really smart narrative device because it has you, as you're watching the film, once you know that things might not be what they seem, you're not really sure what's what going forward, and it is really well done. There's a scene there's a couple. The humor for me, it was the weak point of this movie, and the joke scenes and the comedic routines did not always land for me. If I were to rate this movie, I'd probably give it like a like a 3 or a 3.5, which would make it like a 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10. Like, I really enjoyed this movie. There's nothing not. Now, I'm not going to say it's like a crap movie or anything. There's just like some of the humor didn't quite land for me. But some of it is very funny. There's one of the characters is like always wearing a Walkman. And they're like running. This is not really a spoiler. They're running away from the vampire in these woods, and he drops his Walkman, and the vampire finds the Walkman, but they don't know he's found the Walkman. So there's these funny kind of like sight auditory gags where like he's listening to music and they don't know he's listening. It's just funny like little things like that. And there's an other scene that is so bad, but it's really funny, where let's just say that there's some canine cuisine involved. And you know I'm a big dog lover. I did have 2 dogs. One of my dogs passed away last year. May she rest in peace. We had her for 10 years. But I've had dogs my whole life. I used to work with dogs. I've been a dog walker professionally. I've worked at animal shelters. I've worked at animal hospitals. Like, I love animals. I love dogs. So I do want to put that out there that, like, even though I'm a huge dog lover, I still thought that sequence is like, it's so bad, but it's really funny, like in a bad way. And there's an homage to The Shining in this movie. So if there are any big Stanley Kubrick fans out there, you will definitely notice that right away. It's kind of like this fun, cheeky homage to The Shining. And like a lot of this movie works really, really well. The dynamics between the Jackie Chung and Ricky Hui character as one part and their Kitty Chan, like their boss character, it's like the same kind of shit that you see in Winners and Sinners and in My Lucky Stars, Twinkle Twinkle Lucky Stars, where like they're just like these really horny dudes constantly trying to figure out how to bang their boss. And like the Kitty Chan character is not particularly well written. I had a really hard time buying. Like, you can buy Jackie Chung and Ricky Hui as like these loser cops who are like at the bottom of the totem pole in like a movie world that's kind of haha funny, right? And the Kitty Chan character, like, there's no universe in which you believe that character is a superior on a police force. Because she's such like a stereotypical damsel in distress, like whining female character from that era. And I think if you compare this movie to the Pom Pom movies, you know, where the Richard Ng character has a crush on their boss and there's like some kind of romance going on there, the boss in that movie is totally believable. She works as their boss, and yet also the comedic elements work in the tone of the film. Whereas here, it just like didn't work for me at all. Like, it was just kind of tired and boring, and like, not boring, but like, it's like but by 1987, you had seen that dynamic so many times in these films. And knowing that Wong Kar-wai is such an incredible writer and a great writer of female characters especially, and that Jeffrey Lau has done lots of incredible work as a writer and as a director, it just seemed like they could have done a lot more with that character. So that character and some of the comedic scenes that just go on and on and on. And one of the things that didn't quite work for me, honestly, about the comedic scenes was the fact that the characters are not, Jackie Chung's character especially, they're not unique in a way. Like, Jackie Chung kind of feels like he's just trying to be Jackie Chan. He's got like a similar haircut. And, you know, obviously they would look kind of similar. But he's doing this kind of like cute, young, handsome guy. I'm kind of funny. I'm kind of silly. I'm getting into danger. I'm brave. Like, the whole like police story routine, like, it's just kind of old, honestly. Like, it just felt like the Jackie Chung character was unable to differentiate itself from like a line of countless other characters that are very similar. And because of that, you don't have a really pronounced dynamic between these two. Like with Pom Pom, not to compare again, but they are very similar movies in certain ways. With Pom Pom, the John Shum character and the Richard Ng character are so different because those guys have really strong personalities as comedians and as performers. And so it's really easy right away to know who's who and what their personality traits are and what they both bring to the comedy duo. And in this movie, the Ricky Hui character kind of works because he's like significantly older than the Jackie Chung character, and he dresses like he's not, and he acts like he's not. So there's this like inherent humor to this like older guy trying to pretend that he's like 20 years younger than he is. But the Jackie Chung character, and his performance isn't bad. I just think it's the writing more. Just didn't pop for me. But again, I cannot emphasize enough. I'm not upset. I watched this movie. I really enjoyed it. I thought that the horror stuff is really well done. Like, it really is. It reminds me of like slasher movies and John Carpenter and like other like 80s horror. And some of the comedy, like I said, really, like, there were a couple scenes where I was like laughing out loud. They were like genuinely very, very funny. They're just, some of it just kind of gets old. And like there's this kind of extended sequence where they go to the Kitty Chan's character's house, and they're all like staying at the house, and like it's a lot like in My Lucky Stars when they're all try to go into the bedroom and, you know, bang the woman, and like it just kind of gets old after a while, right? Because it's not funny. If it were funny, like Sammo Hung has done movies where the humor is really distasteful and it's in a vein that you've seen before, but it's really funny, so you can't deny the fact that it's hysterical even though it's bad. And it's not like incredibly original. The way he does it is fresh, and I didn't really get that impression here. So, but to leave you with a good impression of the film, the horror really works, and it's just a fun movie. It's a funny movie. It's 95 minutes, so it's a breezy film, and I'm really glad I watched it. I love watching spooky movies around Halloween, and this was a really great addition to my watching this year. It's the 80s vibes are like fantastic music, like 80s special effects. Like it's a really fun nostalgia trip for people who grew up in that era or who love those types of films. So it's The Haunted Cop Shop, and I recommend it. I really enjoyed it. It's very fun. It's not going to be the best movie you'll ever see, but if you're looking for just like a fun, silly, violent, spooky movie for Halloween, or just if you like these movies in general, check it out. My name is Will. This is Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. As always, I thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time.